How's it going, folks? This is Xavier Leos from the Children's Court, and net neutrality is dead. I mean, it was like shot in the leg before, fatally, critically injured before, but today it is dead. It is totally gone, and that's a beautiful thing. For some people, they might still be like angry about it or wary, because on the surface, what net neutrality is government regulating broadband companies like Comcast and trying to, or enforcing them not slowing down, or basically being biased, slowing down internet speeds for one company over another, making them pay to compete to have faster internet speeds. Providers like Netflix, DC Universe, Hulu, all kinds of websites, just anything dealing with the internet. They're saying that they need to implement this so that companies don't take advantage of their monopoly on the internet, lift some content providers over others. Seems noble, right? That's not everything. For one, what comes with net neutrality and just the legislation in totality is the FCC can create any rules they want, any regulations they want. The FCC can tax you, or tax the companies or the providers. They can just tax them new taxes whenever they feel like it. Anybody who wanted to create a new application or bring new technology onto the internet would have to go through the government to do it. And this would probably take money and time, which would hinder anybody from anybody who's not a multi-million-dollar corporation or just a company of means in general. It would hinder them from really creating and innovating. This is something that's echoed across the YouTube sphere of people who are covering this, and it's true. Social medias are immune to everything that comes with inside this net neutrality thing, meaning while everybody's under these regulations and any regulations that come after the implementation of net neutrality, Facebook and Instagram, Twitter, all these social media apps are immune. They don't have to abide by any of the rules and regulations that come along with net neutrality, meaning they can be totalitarian rulers inside their social media apps, which is totally ridiculous. So when you look at the fact that they all support net neutrality, it's only because they don't have to abide by any of the regulations that come along with it. You gotta ask yourself, what the heck is so bad about net neutrality that they need to be immune from it? Also, you have to ask yourself, why do big internet providers like Comcast endorse it? Like, what could they gain from being regulated? So that's a serious question. It's not rhetorical. Why would a company that's being, or at least on the surface, oppressed, be in favor of having their companies regulated? Or it just doesn't make sense. There's got to be some kind of shady backhand to all of this, and I'm not totally researched in it. I'm just privy to the basics of it. The internet has never been regulated as long as it's been out, until 2015, when Obama and his treasonous friends decided that they needed to regulate the internet. Now, what that more likely was about was them taking control over your life on the internet. We almost had an implementation of net neutrality, which would have made Facebook and Instagram all powerful online. It would have given them the right to censor you, for instance, like they're doing now and being investigated for doing these types of things. It would have given them the open leeway to censor and literally be iron fist rulers of their platforms with no contesting it. That's not something that I want to implement into the internet. We're already being oppressed enough as it is, hopefully, when the DOJ and attorney generals from across the country finish their investigation, all that stops. The internet has been free since it was born, and it's been the wild, wild west forever. And it's regulated itself through content and, whether people are happy or not. If you're going to have a crappy service, people won't use your service. If your service is good, people will flock to it. With YouTube, people liked YouTube because it was free and open, and you started making money off of it after a certain period of time. But nobody likes being censored. Nobody wants their content to be taken down or demonetized because they're not saying something that YouTube doesn't agree with. But now they're facing backlash from content producers and from the government. So hopefully we're pushing back on that, because me myself, I'm being oppressed because I'm doing political content, and it's been exposed that Google and Twitter and all these social media apps or networks are specifically pinpointing out keywords like Donald Trump and Republican and things that they don't agree with, and they're oppressing their content. It's not a conspiracy anymore. It's true. I was saying this in 2016 before anybody was talking about it or taking it seriously. I feel like vindicated now. The internet was the wild, wild west, and it regulated itself. It doesn't need government regulation, because all that's going to do is bring the government into your life, and the government is in your life enough. You don't want the government inside your life any more than it already is. Government controlling what's on the internet and what's not on the internet, what's good and what's bad online, is going to absolutely ruin the internet. Well, it would have until they killed net neutrality in court a couple days ago. What they are saying is, oh, it's not dead, the fight's still going on. They're saying that because I guess the court did send it back to the states and say the FCC can't stop, or Ajit Pai, the head of the FCC, who's leading this war on net neutrality, which is a righteous war. They're saying he can't stop states from making their own law regarding net neutrality. But what they're not saying is that no state's going to implement that alone. If maybe 40, maybe 30 states inside the union decided they're going to implement net neutrality together, then yes, we might have something to worry about. But there's no single state. You can't take 3 or 4 states that implement this, because it's just going to show everybody why we shouldn't have net neutrality if everybody inside these 4 states are having the most terrible time with the internet, and they're being oppressed, they're being monitored and censored, and everybody else is just open and free on the internet. It's going to just make the case for Ajit Pai, and it's going to make the case that net neutrality is terrible. What was supposed to happen was everybody was supposed to get net neutrality, and we all just suffer together and say this is the new world we live in, but at least our speeds aren't being slowed down. Our speeds have never been slowed down by an internet provider. So they just literally made this up. They made this problem up. They started having Netflix be throttled. I remember in like 2015, right before net neutrality hit, my Netflix started throttling. I was like, what the hell is this? So they created the problem, and then they created the solution. They don't even build it up over like a decade anymore. They literally just started doing it like a couple weeks before they implemented net neutrality, and that never happened before. So I don't think people have to worry about their internet speeds being throttled by providers, because it makes no sense for a provider who's providing internet as a service to throttle one internet speed. It makes no sense for Comcast to throttle Netflix and give Hulu faster speeds. They're both paying them. So it just doesn't make sense. It would just do bad for their own business to put one over the other. It's never happened before, and I can't perceive it happening in the future. I think it was a total made-up scheme to get control of the internet, so that they could censor and they could control what you see and don't see and what you say and don't say. I'm absolutely ecstatic that net neutrality is dead. For anybody who's saying people can still fight for it in the states, that's total bullshit. No state's going to implement it unless a majority of states implement it, because it will clearly show how terrible net neutrality is, and everybody who's not on net neutrality will still be having a free and open internet. So I'm going to leave it right there, folks. My phone's ringing off the hook, or text beeping off the hook. Get in the comments, let me know how you feel about the end of net neutrality. And do you think I'm wrong? Are you scared that your internet speed is going to be slowed down and that you're going to have to pay higher fees for better speeds? Get in the comments, and I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.
Black country, young rebels, revolutionaries fighting for what's right. Your thrones are too high, you need to come back down to earth. We're real people, you fall, we still see you. You're lost, we won't leave you, I promise that. What the hell does it mean to act your own age? I said forget what's sin, I make my own wave. Prodigy went to his grave, trying to save you niggas from yourself. Black contra men are brave.